The morning at the View began like any other, a blend of laughter, nerves, and coffee-fueled chatter that filled the studio air with an electric hum. Outside, a crowd of fans gathered behind the barricades, clutching signs and snapping selfies, waiting for a glimpse of the day's guest, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Even in New York City, where celebrities came and went like the weather, his presence drew something special, a mixture of awe and warmth that few others could command. Inside, the crew moved like clockwork. Cameras were being adjusted, lights dimmed and readjusted, makeup retouched. Every small movement contributed to the grand machine of live television. But behind the polished surface, there was a different kind of energy. Everyone knew Joy Behar had something planned. "Be nice, Joy," Whoopi warned from her seat as the hosts settled into their chairs. Joy smiled innocently, flipping through her cue cards. "Oh, I'm always nice. I just ask questions nobody else wants to." Sonny Hostin sighed softly. "He's here to promote a movie, not to be cross-examined." "Relax," Joy replied, waving a hand. "I just want to know who the real Dwayne Johnson is, the man behind the muscles." The producer in her earpiece whispered, 30 seconds. Dwayne Johnson stood just off stage, towering in a dark navy suit that fit like it was sewn directly onto him. He chatted with a crew member, laughing easily, his warmth radiating even in that tense, pre-show atmosphere. But there was something else in his eyes, a quiet alertness. He knew the kind of show he was walking into. The View wasn't just talk. It was confrontation dressed in morning sunlight. 10 seconds, someone called. The lights dimmed. The crowd hushed. Then came the familiar music, upbeat, bright, and instantly recognizable. The audience clapped as the hosts waved and smiled for the cameras. Whoopi introduced the show with her trademark calm humor, and then, with a gleam in her eye, she said, "Please welcome the one and only, Dwayne 'The Rock' Johnson." The applause exploded. He entered like he always did, larger than life but grounded, smiling with that trademark humility that made millions trust him. He hugged Whoopi, shook hands with Sonny and Sarah, and leaned in to give Joy a polite nod. She met his gaze with a grin that was equal parts charm and challenge. As he took his seat, the atmosphere shifted. The lights reflected off his glass of water as he rested his hands on the table, posture relaxed but purposeful. "So, Dwayne," Whoopi began, "you've been busy, producing, acting, saving the world, and apparently waking up at 4 in the morning every day." Dwayne chuckled. "That's true. I get up early, get the workout in, then try to make the most of the day before the chaos starts." The audience laughed and cheered. He talked about discipline, his upbringing, the gratitude he carried from his humble beginnings in Hawaii. Every word carried that familiar tone, equal parts inspiration and authenticity. He made the audience feel like they weren't just watching a star, but a man who'd worked for every bit of what he had. But Joy wasn't smiling. She was listening, too intently. "So, Dwayne," she said finally, when Whoopi passed her the floor, "you've built this image around positivity and respect, but some people say you've been awfully quiet on certain big issues." Dwayne glanced at her, his tone still steady. "I try to focus on unity, Joy. There's enough negativity out there." She leaned forward. "Sure, but don't you think staying neutral on things that matter is just another kind of statement? You can't be everyone's hero if you don't stand for something." The air tightened. Sonny looked uncomfortable. Sarah shot Joy a warning glance. Whoopi stared straight ahead, silently counting the seconds until commercial. Dwayne adjusted his posture, leaning slightly toward Joy. His voice was calm, but the weight behind it made the crowd quiet down. "I do stand for something," he said. "I stand for respect, for hard work, for people who do their best every day, no matter where they come from. That's my platform." Joy crossed her arms. "That's a nice slogan, but people want to know where you really stand. You've supported people who've said some pretty controversial things. Don't you think that sends mixed messages? He paused, breathing out through his nose. The easy smile faded. Joy, I don't endorse everything anyone says, he said. If I support someone, it's because I believe in their heart, not because I agree with every opinion they've ever had. Joy didn't flinch. But don't you think that's a cop-out? You're a public figure, Dwayne. You can't hide behind generalities forever. That was the spark, the audience murmured. Whoopi leaned in, her voice warning but soft. Joy. But Joy wasn't done. You've made billions off your clean image, but real leadership means taking a stand, even when it's uncomfortable. Dwayne looked at her steadily. The silence was heavy. Finally, he said, You know, Joy, I've been punched in the face a lot of times, but I've learned something. Sometimes the loudest people in the room aren't the strongest. They're just the angriest. The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Some gasped. Joy blinked, momentarily stunned. Sunny covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Whoopi said quickly, We're going to take a quick break. But the noise drowned her out. The video hit the internet before the studio lights even cooled. By the time Dwayne Johnson's SUV pulled away from the ABC building, the clip of him walking off the View had already been shared thousands of times, spreading like wildfire across every social platform. On X, hashtags like The Rock vs. Joy, Respect Goes Both Ways, and He Walked Out began trending within minutes. Inside the control room, producers scrambled to cut and edit a version that looked less catastrophic for the network. Get the wide angle. Don't show Joy's face after he leaves, one ordered. Another added, We'll say he had a prior engagement. But everyone knew the truth. You couldn't spin authenticity. Not when millions had just watched it unfold live. Meanwhile, in the green room, Dwayne stood quietly with his team. The easy smile that usually came so naturally to him was gone. His publicist handed him a water bottle and tried to diffuse the moment. That was intense, she said cautiously. You handled it fine, though. Really professional. Dwayne didn't answer at first. He was still replaying the exchange. In his head, Joy's tone, her pointed words, the flicker of disrespect in her eyes. He wasn't angry in the explosive way people expected a man like him to be. It was a quieter kind of frustration, the kind that settled deep in his chest. I don't mind tough questions, he said finally, setting the water down. But there's a difference between asking and attacking. I've dealt with critics my whole life, but he shook his head. That wasn't about conversation. That was about headlines. His manager checked his phone. Speaking of headlines, it's everywhere already. TMZ, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, they've all got clips. Most of them say Joy went too far. Dwayne's expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened slightly. That's not the story I wanted out there, he said. I came to talk about a movie, not to humiliate someone or make a spectacle. She pushed it, his publicist said softly. You kept your cool. People will see that. Dwayne exhaled slowly, adjusting the cuff of his suit jacket. People will see whatever they want to see, he muttered. At that same moment, back on stage, Joy sat stiffly at the table while the crew hurried to set up for the next segment. Whoopi leaned toward her and whispered, What the hell was that, Joy? Joy pretended not to hear. She shuffled her note cards, lips pressed tight, but her eyes betrayed her agitation. He walked out, Whoopi, she said under her breath. He walked out, on live TV. Because you came at him like a prosecutor, Sunny snapped quietly from the other side. Joy turned her glare toward her. Oh, please, I asked him a simple question about accountability. Isn't that what this show's supposed to do? Ask questions? Whoopi frowned. Questions, not accusations. There's a difference. But Joy wasn't listening. In her mind, she had every right to press him. Dwayne Johnson wasn't some fragile celebrity. He was one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, and people Like that, in Joy's view, didn't get to hide behind charm and slogans. Still, even she couldn't ignore the chill that had settled over the room. The producers had gone quiet. The audience had stopped cheering. Everyone knew something had cracked. When the cameras rolled again, Whoopi did her best to steer the show back on track. "Well, folks," she said with an awkward smile, "sometimes things get a little heated around here, but that's what makes The View what it is." Joy forced a laugh, but it sounded hollow. The other co-hosts played along, but the tension was visible. During the commercial break, her phone buzzed non-stop. Texts, emails, social media notifications piling in by the second. Her assistant hurried over with a concerned look. "It's blowing up online," she whispered. "People are saying you disrespected him." Joy frowned. "What? For doing my job?" "They're calling it a hit piece, Joy. Even some of your fans are saying it was too personal." Joy's hand hovered over her phone. "Let me see." She scrolled through her feed, her face tightening as she read the flood of comments. Some defended her, sure, but the overwhelming tone was critical. Joy went too far. "He handled that like a class act. You can't talk to The Rock like that." She slammed her phone down on the table. "Unbelievable," she muttered. "So now asking a hard question is bullying? Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood, and even Eve."